All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. Going to be breaking down round 2 here of the Rocket Classic. We're going to start off with the top showdown picks, and then we're going to get into some of the best three-way bets and head-to-head bets as well. If we are getting prize picks and profits by the end of the video, I'll touch on that. I doubt it because I am doing this video as the first round is closing up, but we'll see. But first, I do want to start off with a quick recap from round 1, so let's go ahead and get into that. So real quickly, the prize picks bet slip just missed out on being very solid. I kind of mentioned that we probably wouldn't be placing these all together because the payout would be reduced. So hopefully you guys ended up on the positive side of this. But these were the 4 that I specifically suggested you guys run out. And very nicely, actually, Ben Griffin was on the Taco Tuesday bet slip on the main channel, where we ended up going 6 for 6 there. So very good stuff there. Snedeker, I kind of mentioned, very good chance for him to be a push. Unfortunately, again, Patrick Cantlay got to 6 birdies or better, but that was kind of the theme. It was going to be more difficult to get to 6 birdies or better. We'll talk about Collin Morikawa and his putting. I think it is worthwhile to talk about that, but real quick, we would just do the recap from the 3-ball bets as well. Those end up going 50%, so a slight profit on that. Gave out 6, 3 of them in opinion, so we'll take that. We are getting some decent 3-ball bets as well for round 2. Again, we'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, let's go ahead and just take a peek at the leaderboard as it currently sits. So Kevin Roy gets another first-round lead, and so I say another. A lot of 9 to 5 members hopefully had Kevin Roy for his first-round lead earlier on in the year, which has really carried us for the first-round lead department there, because although it's been very good for showdown purposes, especially lately, haven't had the first-round leader in like a month now, which is definitely rare. It's a weird streak on, because, again, these players aren't playing poorly necessarily, just not playing extremely low as they need to have the first round lead, and you're just having some outlier performances. Now, Kevin Roy, obviously you guys are going to see top 12 staff, was a golfer that ranked out pretty well in the 9 to 5 mile, was a player I told you guys to be on the main video. Well, second main video I had to put out too because there's some weird audio issues, but I attached that to the main video. Told you guys to be on him. The one that was kind of random is this Aldrich, and I'm not going to butcher his last name. I still don't have it down. He's had 2 good weeks, right? The week where he lost in the playoff, and then his prior event. Statistically speaking, right, definitely random his results on paper. But you could argue this is a good track for a guy that's a bomber like that, and a younger player like that. He's still trying to work things out, feel things out on the PGA Tour. Maybe this is a week where things are just clicking for him. Data-wise, you would expect him to fall off. You would expect him to regress. But he was playing it well. He made and hit a bunch of fairways, hit a bunch of fairways, but basically it was peppering the greens. And again, that's not something you typically would expect to continue for him. It's weird. Like Kevin Roy was a little bit more expected, I would say. Minwoo Lee had a good, basically everyone that we were on for the most part pretty much had a good day. So it's looking like it's going to be a solid tournament through and through. Max Graceman was a player I was telling you guys I was going to be on a decent amount. Him and also Harry Hall was a player that I was telling you guys to get on, and then Ben Griffin as well. But then we also need to look at the ownership. I think that's definitely interesting to look at. Ben Griffin was the highest owned player, as he should have been. Currently, I think you could safely say the best player in the field. I kind of put a poll out there on X where actually it was only like, I asked, is Ben Griffin the best player in the field? And it was like 68% said no. I'm like, okay, who is better than him? Patrick Cantlay, Collin Morikawa. Some crazy people might have said Cameron Young. So definitely interesting there. Keegan Bradley would have probably been the other answer. It was very interesting there, but enough people did say yes. Still 68% of the people saying no. That still leaves a lot that said yes. So definitely interesting there. Looking at the rest of the ownership, it does make sense. I did kind of warn against like Cameron Young. -4, though, seemingly going to be something that makes a cut. Collin Morikawa at -3 is interesting. And I kind of just want to start with that. Let's start with Collin Morikawa because he had an interesting day. He's getting a lot of people talking bad about him on X right now. There is some interesting stuff going on with Collin Morikawa. I think he's fired up to play well, though, right? He ended up losing a bunch of strokes putting. Okay, guys, ended up losing 4.66. Okay. 4.63. Now, typically speaking, he does lose strokes putting, but he's basically barely losing any strokes putting. Okay, so he could, if he gets back to his mean, he could gain 4 strokes putting. Okay, so if you even give him half of that, he ends up having a much better day and ends up safely inside the cut line. Okay, so you would expect that to be something that does occur for him more so in round 2. You do expect him to go low. So he's probably going to be a player we're going to be on a decent amount for showdown purposes. I did think that was worthwhile to call out, though. And then we get into Aldrich Potagir. Again, I'm butchering his last name. I know it. But I do want to call it his like greens in regulation. So on the season, guys, he's, ranking around 97th in the field. Okay. Whereas his live stat is about 17th in the field. So you would expect that to get corrected. He's basically dominating in most of the stats you would expect him to. Losing strokes gained around the green though as well, which again is something you would kind of expect him to do. So sorry, his greens in regulation is second in the field. I was reading that wrong. Second in the field, which is pretty darn crazy. Hitting 17. Okay, that's just crazy. So basically all the data points that we have for him coming in would suggest that he's going to, maybe regress a little bit. But again, with him, it's kind of skewed. He's a younger player, still figuring things out. He could just be hot today or this week. Then we look at someone like Kevin Roy, data-wise, really nothing too crazy in terms of his performance, really nothing too unexpected. Sure, he gained 7 strokes on the field. He typically is someone that does gain strokes on the field, though, as well, especially considering this field. So nothing too crazy there. You kind of would expect him to continue to play well. Probably the biggest disappointment going back to the leaderboard was Emiliano Grillo in his results, only -3. And then Alex Smalley as well was someone I noted definitely as a GPP only play, but 0 for even par as the score. So definitely don't like that. But yeah, and Goddard as well. Goddard was a GPP only play. Those are probably the biggest disappointments. But other than that, pretty darn solid day one. A day one that we'll take. It was very solid. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into round 2. And we're just going to take a peek at the Showdown ranks just in general. So yeah, as you would expect, Collin Morikawa, who is someone that played decently well, again, just lost strokes putting, you would expect him to play well. So he's the top Showdown play. Now, whether or not you think he's there mentally and whatnot, again, I think he's motivated to play well. It's just whether or not he does. Keegan Bradley, Patrick Riley, no shocks there. Ricky Fowler was someone that you would expect to play well, and he didn't play well in round 1. So yeah, he's someone that you would expect to have a spike day tomorrow. And guys, with it being actually an easier scoring event, you could actually just run out this kind of regression build where we're just looking at these players that struggled in round 1 because typically speaking, these golfers that are good golf plays on paper are going to be the golfers that go out and go low in round 2. Now, whether you consider Alex Smalley, Ricky Fowler, Alex Noren, Keith Mitchell, Chris Goddard like good plays on paper, they were good stat fits. Rico Hoy as well is someone that falls into that category as well. It would not be shocking to see any of those guys flip the script and literally do the exact opposite of what they did in round 1. That is something we typically see in those or in these lower scoring events. But with that, you got Keith Mitchell popping up in there, Siwoo Kim, Ben Griffin. Ben Griffin expected to play well. Now, I do want to take a quick peek at the weather report, seeing what we're looking at there. And guys, I'm just looking at weather.com right now. If you guys look at a different source, whatever. I know a lot of people like to look at, I think, Windfinder, whatever. But looking at the hourly rain is really wind is what I want to see. And what we're going to notice is that the AM tee times do get a little bit easier, okay? Like 6 mile per hour winds, then it increases to about 14. Now, that might make me want to favor the AM golfers a little bit. Now, the interesting thing, if we do that, guys, if we just look at the early golfers, right, we're looking at Harry Hall, Keith Mitchell, Siwoo Kim, Ben Griffin. We are tightening it up a little bit. So we're skipping out on Keegan Bradley, Patrick Riley, and Collin Morikawa. So again, that's really up to you guys if you guys want to do that. Now, I do want to go ahead and jump back into the live strokes just real quick and just take a peek at the golfers putting-wise that are expected to play better or worse. Again, we already talked about Collin Morikawa there. He's going to be, and let's just sort it by it, he's probably going to be number 1 here. Yeah, he's expected to putt best. He's the most likely to putt better, in round 2. Then you got Keith Mitchell, Cam Davis, Jake Knapp. So some players you're probably not getting to, but the first 2. Collin Morikawa, Keith Mitchell, Grillo is okay. Nothing too crazy there. Let's flip this around real quick. Andrew Putnam, I hope not. Andrew Putnam was someone I was pretty overweight on compared to everyone else. Max Grayson, I ended up being overweight on as well. Got about 30% of him, actually. So I don't want to see that, but it does make sense. Obviously, there are 2 golfers that really went out. Putnam with 5 strokes gained putting. Max Grayson, 4.85, which is obviously better than what they typically average. So, yeah, I could end up seeing that happen, but all in all, look at their season stats, they are good putters. Okay, so probably not going to regress as much, right? They're going to regress a little bit. You got the first and second best putter right now through round 1, but you got the 14th and 25th best putters in the field. So, nothing too crazy as well there. So kind of encouraging. But then you look at like Tom Kim, Michael Thorbjornsen. He's someone that's going to struggle probably. Hadwin, Kim. So we got some players popping up. Minwoo Lee, maybe not as much. He kind of falls into the category of Andrew Putnam and Max Grayson. But yeah, you guys get the point. Let's go ahead and just jump into the lineup builder. I do want to talk about just a slight update that I made to the 9 to 5 custom model as well. So we got the fantasy points projections, which is what it is based off of. That's the default mode, which again, guys, what you're going to do, like, I don't know, round 2, you want to get the round 2 showdown rank in there, and maybe you don't care to have all these separate data points in there. These are fixed columns that you can take out if you guys don't really care to look at that. So maybe ownership tag, data tag, tea time, you don't really care to have that crap in there, and I get it. You can deselect that stuff so you get a better view of maybe what we're looking at data-wise. I'm going to go ahead and reset the attributes, which is just going to clear it. Okay, so what we can look at then, again, it's just round 2 showdown rank, and then I do think AM emphasis, I do think we want to do that. I know it says main slate only. I think we can do it for the main slate as well, but maybe you want to do a slight AM advantage. You guys can do that as well. Either way, you guys see how that works there. And then from there, I do want to call it that we do have different optimization modes. Okay, so if you want to kind of just do it based off of your own projections, because this is still utilizing the 9 to 5 fantasy score projections, it's just updating those projections with whichever data points you are putting in there, which I think you should do that. Obviously, we've been very successful in round 2 showdown. I'm, the forerunner in the space for showdown content and picks and data. Kind of taught a bunch of people in the space how to do that properly, which I still regret to this day, ruining the edge that we had. But anyways, do that. Like, stick to this. You can obviously make some slight adjustments with the fantasy scores if you want to, using these tickers here. But I do want to call this out as well. You can do it by scaled projections based off of salary. And then when you run it, that's going to adjust the projections, and it's adjusting based off of how they are priced instead, based off of their salary for round 2 showdown specifically. So worth calling that out. Let's go ahead and get back into the normal projections. We're just going to run this so you guys can kind of see what we're looking at here. And I did add in that feature when you click run, it's going to jump down, pop down there, just as an FYI. But we see here, I don't know if I necessarily love this. Eckroat, Griot, Gracerman, Patrick Hanley, Patrick Rogers. That's okay. Let's see the exposures that we're getting here. Yeah, too much Kyle Morikawa to me, even with that slight adjustment for targeting, more PM golfers or AM golfers, sorry. I might cap his exposure to like 15. Same thing with Patrick Hanley. I still think we want to get to them. Let's rerun the lineups and see what that gets us exposure wise. And I did add in that button right there. Then we're getting to Ben Griffin, Max Gracerman. Still probably don't need to get that much of Keegan Bradley as well, but let's just scroll back on up to the top. And I don't think we need to do this. We obviously saw a bunch of PM golfers go low as well, but let's just see what it looks like if we do just do the early golfers instead and see kind of how many lineups we can get generated doing that as well. All right, so we're able to get about 127 out of 150 doing that. Then we're getting a lot of Ben Griffin, Harry Hall, Hideki. Hideki had a couple of lucky chip-ins. I don't know if we necessarily need to get to him. Siwoo Kim looked pretty good, right? Siwoo Kim was a guy we were questioning whether we could be on him or not. I kind of mentioned I'd probably be overweight on him, especially compared to like Cameron Young as well, who were priced similarly. So that's working out somewhat right now. Interesting there. And then we're getting to some of those golfers that you would expect to play better in round 2. So interesting there. Let's just go ahead and take another quick peek at the lineup builder. And so this is just if we're going off the raw projections here, guys. So giving it 2 data points to go off, just going to click generate. And so it's just going to optimize a little bit more off of those lineups instead. So let's just take a peek at what it's looking at here instead. So somewhat of the same stuff for the most part as you would expect. We'll zoom in a little bit. Get into obviously too much Chris Goddard, but we wouldn't want that. Holgard as well, Davis Thompson, Keith Mitchell. So the theme here is that it's trying to go more fair and balanced is really what we're seeing here, which is okay. I think I like the custom model lineups I made a little bit better. It's really going to be up to you guys to decide whether, kind of what you guys want to do there. And so, yes, let's go ahead and get into some 3-ball bets for round 2. We are getting some pretty good spots edgewise, and I don't think we need to go too deep on the list. So, again, guys, we want 50%. We'll take that. One of the interesting ones, though, yesterday was like Steven Fisk and Jasper Svensson, where it's basically one of these two are going to win the group, it seems like. Got a little bit lucky, I would say. The edge was with Fisk to win the group where he had a positive edge. It was basically a 50-50 split in terms of which one of those two is going to win. In round 2, we are seeing that a little bit different, and this is obviously adjusted for how they're projected to play with round 2. Svensson is a little bit better, and we are getting a positive edge with him compared to how the books are kind of giving him percent outage-wise to have a good round in round 2. Then from there, we got Jackson Subner, who's a golfer that can hit it long, doing well. Benny Ann there as well. Benny Ann had a funny kind of retweet of Kyle Morikawa struggling to putt as well. I think he did like the U gif. I don't know. I just remember it being kind of funny. Alex Molloy, again, someone that you would have expected to play well, somewhat a GPP risk for sure. Then Noah Goodwin as well. I think we can go back to him, and then we're just going to go with those 5 in round 2. All right, and now we're going to go heading into some head-to-head bets, and I don't know if I necessarily love some of the bets that we're kind of being told to get to. So we got Benny Ann losing to Taylor Moore. So if you want to bet on Taylor Moore at -105, you can. I think that one I'm okay with, but then we get to Hogard over Mingwoo Lee. Obviously, Mingwoo Lee's due to regress. I don't know if I necessarily love that. Luke Clanton beating Ryan Gerard, I am okay with, I guess, but at -115, it doesn't feel like a must bet by any means. Michael Kim to beat Matt Wallace, I am okay with, again, at -10, but again, it kind of feels like a bet that we don't necessarily need to go out of our way to target. So I do like these 3 bets here, guys. If you want to get to those, by all means, you can do that there as well. And then, yeah, unfortunately, as I'm recording this video, we do not have any PrizePicks underdog prop bets. Those will be updated in the 9 to 5 cheat sheets and the optimizer, the PrizePicks optimizer, when those are available. Obviously, I can't control it. Apologies for that. Wish I could get that out to you guys. But again, that'll be updated in the data there as well. So that's going to do it for the round 2 video. Appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys enjoyed the coverage as well, if you guys want any access to the tools that you just saw in this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the tools available for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Again, appreciate you guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.